Hello and welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. I'd like to welcome you out to the party shed right now because I want to say laissez bouton roulette. Let the good times roll. As you can tell by the title of the video, it's king cake time because you know why? It's Mardi Gras time. And I'm going to show you. It's going to be a 2-video process. The first video, which will be today, will be on a traditional king cake with a little bit of my spin to it. And tomorrow's video will be a cream cheese filled king cake. Oh, it's going to be good, folks. It's going to be good. Now, of course, it's Mardi Gras time. Just starting. It's only been going about 3 weeks, but it's starting to pick up steam, and gotta make king cakes. I've been making king cakes for a long time because I don't want to buy no king cake. I make mine from scratch because they taste a whole lot better, and you know exactly what's going into them. So let's get busy making a king cake. I'm gonna take my hat off because I don't want any of these this glitter or sparkles to get in my bread mix. So let's get ready to roll. I've been hearing Fats Domino singing in the background for a while of Let the Good Times Roll. Okay, first off, what we're going to do, and the king cake has been popular since the beginning of the 1800s down in New Orleans for Mardi Gras season. Alright, I have 1 cup, and this is my way my grandma made it. You can use 1 cup of warmed whole milk. Please don't use no 2% milk or none of that other stuff. This is a cup of warmed, about 110 degree, half and half, because I like my king cake to be rich flavored. Now you can use whole milk, that is fine. And you're going to want to add to your warm milk a 1/2 cup of sugar, because we're starting off a base to feed the yeast. And you want to mix it real well. And now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of yeast. And it's easy to hand measure. And that should be just about, if I can get it all in the tablespoon without it. Yep, some fell in. But see there? Hand measure. That's 1 tablespoon. And use good yeast, people. Good yeast. Don't use no bad yeast. We're going to mix that in gently. And I see a lot of mistakes people do. You never mix salt. Never mix salt in with your yeast. It will kill your yeast in a heartbeat. The sugar in the 1/2 and 1/2 is to feed the yeast and get it activated. We're going to set that aside because we got some other things to do. Now, nowadays, it's traditional for a baby to be in the king cake. I don't like no thought of no plastic baby being in my king cake. I go back even further in tradition. Some use fava beans. I don't like them nasty things. I use large lima beans. Large lima beans. And since I'm going to be making 2 king cakes, I'm going to go on and knock it out at the same time. Now, what you're going to do is, well, I like doing mine shiny side up so people can see it. The reason behind, and this is going to go inside your king cake. The reason is whoever gets that slice of king cake will have good luck for a whole year. And they have to make or buy the king cake the next year. I like it more that it's a sentimental, older tradition, and it keeps plastic out of your food. Ugh. Now, of course, when you go to slice your king cake, make sure to inform everyone that's getting a slice. Watch out for don't eat the aluminum foil covered lima bean. Do not eat your lima beans. I'm going to set those aside. And later on, I'm going to move this. Later on, we'll be using this because you got to make your own sugar. I don't buy that already made colored sugar. And you're going to need yellow, green, and purple Mardi Gras colors. Alright, let's get busy some more. I just wanted to show you the old traditional way of aluminum foil wrapping. And see, this is what it ends up looking like. I didn't know if y'all got to see it. And I'll show you later on when I go through making the king cake, the process of getting it in there. Making a king cake from scratch is a labor of love. It's not a quick thing. And it should never be. I'm going to need a tablespoon of lemon zest, fresh lemon zest. Dry, if that's all you have, that's fine, I understand. And make sure you wash your lemons very well, unless you grow them yourself. Oh Lordy, that smells good. And you want to try not to get any of the white pith in there. But it's not going to be the end of the world if some of it gets in there. I usually go just a tad bit over, because the lemon zest makes it taste so good inside. Now what I do, and it's just a hair over a teaspoon, I sprinkle it into my flour. And that way it gets all mixed in. I put some in my melted butter. I spread the love all over. Now, of course, the recipe, and this is a single batch recipe this time, folks. The recipe will be in the description box below the video. That way you can make your own. Yeast is doing good, and I'll bring you back as soon as it has proofed. I forgot to say, I let my yeast mixture proof for at least 10 minutes until I know that all the yeast is activated and ready to make bread. See you here back in a bit. Okay, the yeast has proofed nicely. Look how thick the yeast is. It's a growing. So it's been 10 minutes. That yeast is ready to roll. Now you're going to need 5 egg yolks. I've separated 4. Let's get a 5th one going. Now, I usually separate them using my hand, but this time I'm going to use the eggshells. And we're going to move those out of the way. And you want to do not waste your egg whites. Put those back and make you an omelet with it. Or some egg drop, whisk it up, make some egg drop soup. Get my whisk out. I want to beat those up real good. And I'm going to incorporate, oh yeah, 1 cup. Now it's room temperature now. You don't want it hot because you don't want your egg yolks to cook. And that's 1 cup of salted butter. And you whisk that and the egg yolks together. And you're going to pour that in with the yeast. You don't want to waste anything. Now we're going to want, now I add just a tiny bit of allspice into my batter. Not much. Just enough. Maybe 1/4 teaspoon. That way it'll have a small hint. And you're going to want a teaspoon of real vanilla. Don't use any of that fake stuff. That's a little healthy teaspoon of vanilla. A king cake is basically close to what a brioche bread will be. And this is 4 cups of flour. I use 2 cups of bread flour and 2 cups of all-purpose flour to give it just a little bit of a oomph. Of course, the recipe for this will be in the description box below. And I'm going to add the rest of my flour. And I'm going to stir it in. Oh, that smells so good. You can smell the vanilla, the hint of allspice, just the hint. And you can smell the butter, all the good stuff. Now it's going to be a sticky bread for a little bit. We're fixing to have to knead this baby. I'm going to move stuff out of the way. No. Add a little flour in my bowl, because you're going to want to dust your countertop so you can knead it and it won't stick. That's way enough flour. Now before I start kneading this bread, I'm going to take my beads off because I'm proud of my beads. These are part of my big collection, because I was blessed to be able to go to Mardi Gras, the first one after Katrina. And I don't want to get batter or dough or flour all up in my beads, so I protect these babies. Because those are very special Mardi Gras beads. And yes, I did get those during Mardi Gras. I did not bomb. And you want to dust your surface very well. my way. And you want to get all that rich goodness out of there as much as possible. I absolutely love making king cakes. Let's get this big old bowl out of the way. And just so you know, this is a single batch recipe. I make single batches every once in a while. And you want to knead it. Make sure it's good and kneaded. Oh, it's a good soft dough. I absolutely love making bread. It's so peaceful to create bread with your own hands. Watch the yeast come alive. And make sure you get all your pieces of dough, because you don't want to waste no king cake dough. And you're going to want to knead it for a good 10 minutes, 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And I will bring you back as soon as I'm done kneading. Okay, she is done kneading, and I used just the right amount of flour. She won't take up any more of the flour, and she's not sticky or anything. I'll clean my bowl out a little bit. I'm going to oil it. Well, I lightly oiled it. And I'm going to put her in there. I'm going to cover her up so she'll stay warm. And I'm going to let her rise for about an hour, hour and a half, until she's doubled in size. And you want to make sure that it rises in a very nice warm place. Now, I'll bring you back here in just a little bit to make the sugars. And while she's rising, that way you can get everything else ready to go on down the line of making a traditional king cake. I'll see y'all back here in just a little bit once I get all my ingredients ready. Okay, it is time to make the colored sugar for your king cake. Now I'm going to be making, remember I'm going to be doing 2 videos, so I'm making 2 king cakes. So I'm doubling up on the sugar. Single batch will be a ½ cup of sugar, but I'm using 1 cup. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you've never had a king cake, it is not whatsoever diabetic friendly at all. Alright, the 3 colors that represent the Trinity, the 3 kings that came to visit Jesus as a baby, is going to be yellow or gold, green, and purple. This will be, or should be, on every single king cake. And if it's not, you done got gypped. I'm telling you, you do not want to get this on you whatsoever, because it will stain. Okay, forget it. I'm going to use my fingers. You can use food coloring, but the paste, this is Wilton frosting color. There we go. I have to encourage it a little bit. And you want to keep working it until all of that gets mixed in and dissolved. And that's a beautiful yellow, or representative of gold. I was going to get some golden casting sugar to use, but let me tell you all the chemicals that was in that. No, I left it sitting on the shelf. Okay, I've got that mixed up good enough for now. I'm going to mix it up some more. I just don't want to make y'all keep suffering through me mixing it. But you want to make sure that each batch of sugar is completely colored. You want to make sure that there's none of that color left in your bowl for the next batch. Wipe off your knife very well. You can also use toothpicks as well. Alright, on to the next batch we go. And wipe off your whisk as best you can. That green's starting to come through, and on my hands too. it's best to color your sugar by hand, because if you put it in a food processor, it'll turn to powdered sugar and it won't work right. It'll be too fine and you'll take a chance of it burning. And you want your colors good and strong colored. You don't want no light colors. It's a king cake. It's supposed to stand out. Alright, that's a beautiful green. I'll work it some more here in a little bit. I just want to make sure y'all get the general basis of how to make your king cake sugar. And like I said, you want to make sure that your sugars are very well colored. Because you don't want no, it's a shame to have a plain king cake. They're supposed to stand out. And next is beautiful purple. Now I'll go into more detail about the legends behind the usage of the color when I go to decorating the king cake. Oh, heck, my hands are already colored. I'm not gonna worry about it. And each color represents a different meaning. And I'll go into more detail while decorating the king cake. It's funny, as I stand here mixing the sugar, all I can smell is the zested lemon way over there. And you want a good, pretty, dark, vibrant purple. Just like you want a good dark green. A lot of times the yellow is iffy, because the sugar will only absorb so much color before it starts messing up on you. And you're going to want to let these air dry some, so I'm just going to let them sit here while the dough rises. That way they won't clump so bad. Look at that beautiful purple. Isn't that a gorgeous purple? Oh, that makes my little heart happy there. That's a good batch of purple. Oh, this is going to be pretty. Let me tell you, wipe that bowl out because you'll forget. You will forget. Put bowl there. I'm going to have to go in. You can't tell I'm making Mardi Gras king cake. Oh, that's pretty. And I just put a paper towel on top to keep bugs and a lot of the moisture out. But this is what I'm using. Wilton frosting color, violet, Kelly green, and buttercup yellow. Alright, once the dough's rose, I'll bring you back. I'm going to move my sugar to a safer location because when that dough has risen, it's going to be, hold on a second, it's going to be time to get really busy and make the king cake. Alright, I'll bring you back here in a little bit. See you after a while. Okay, the dough has finally risen. It's a dense dough, so it takes a little bit longer for it to rise. But it's a beautiful dough. We're going to punch that dough down. I'm going to let it rest while I mix up the cinnamon sugar. I have about a cup of cane sugar, domino sugar. Oh, that's right. My cinnamon's over here. And I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, because you want it good and flavorful. I'm going to add just a tad bit more. You can use less if you're not a big cinnamon fan. But in my king cake, I want a bunch of cinnamon. Oh, that smells so good. Alright, cinnamon sugar is done. I'm going to move my dough. I'm going to grab a little bit, a handful of flour. Dust the counter. That way the dough don't stick. And get a little more flour. Dust that rolling pin real good. I'm going to roll this beautiful baby out. And you want to roll it out good and thin. If it tries to rip on you, patch that baby back together. And don't worry, it don't have to be perfect. It will turn out just fine when you go to bake it. And like I said, I'm not worried about perfection because I know it's going to taste good. And you want to cut fairly in 3 equal pieces. Like I said, it don't have to be perfect because it's going to turn out good. Now I have some melted butter. And since I do mine like my grandmother done, I don't worry about pastry brushes. Because back in the old days, they didn't have all that fancy stuff. You just dab that butter on there. Oh, this dough smells so wonderful. Just make sure you get plenty of butter on it so your sugar will stick. And you just want to sprinkle your sugar and cinnamon mixture. It's in a way like making cinnamon rolls, just a little different. And like I said, this cake is not diabetic friendly, not whatsoever. You want to make sure that you have plenty of the cinnamon sugar in the middle. Move my bowl and move my baking sheet so it can cool down. And I start on this one so I can have room to work on those. And like I said, if you've ever made homemade cinnamon rolls, this is what you're doing. You want to lengthen your rope. Alright. You know what I almost forgot? Got to get that bean. We're going to put it right there. That's traditional there. Nowadays they want to put them old yucky plastic babies in there. And they don't even bake them in the king cake. They add them at the tail end. And well, that's not how tradition goes. And you need to try to make sure that each of your ropes are the same size, same length. It's okay if one gets fatter than the other. That's not going to matter one bit. Last but not least, we're going to roll the uneven edges towards the inside. sure each rope is fairly tight and as uniform as you can get it. Because believe me, by the time this is done and baked, nobody's going to worry if it's perfect or not. Because believe me, all they're going to want to do is eat it. Now here comes the fun part. Oh. And don't worry if your dough breaks, nobody's going to see it. This means your dough is really good and soft. And what you're going to do is just continue to braid it. Just believe me, it's going to rise. You're going to let it rise again. Nobody's going to see a single thing. Just keep mushing and putting it back together. And as you get closer to the end, it gets a whole lot easier to braid it. See, it just proves that not everything has to be perfect. Sometimes it's not meant to be. Okay, got that braided. I'm not done yet, don't you worry. You need to take you a big cookie sheet, and you're going to want to line it with parchment paper. Also, I have my oven preheating to 350. And you move your braid. And gently, very carefully, we're going to move our king cake. If it comes apart, don't worry about it. Pinch it back together. We're going to move our king cake back around. Mush it around a little bit. And we're going to piece the braids together. You're not going for perfection, you're going for taste. Mush it down a little bit so everything's basically the same size. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this rest and rise for about 30 more minutes. Now, an old trick if you want to do it and you can't get it, I'm not really ever worried about it being perfectly round, but if you're a perfectionist, you can stick a canning jar in the middle and put your king cake around it. But I have faith that you can eyeball that baby and get it done. Alright, I'm going to cover it up. Wait a minute. Let's see. I'm going to use some plastic wrap first. Good. I so do not want that sticking to that towel. Oh, the plague of plastic wrap. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover it, and we're going to put it back in a warm area, and we're going to let it sit. Hold on a minute. I tied my tripod down too much. We're going to let it sit for 30 minutes and let it rise again, and then we're going to decorate it. See you back here in a little bit. Okay, she has rose for about 30 minutes. The dough will always have a mind of its own. It might spread out, it might go higher, you never know, but you roll with it. Now, mine is a traditional king cake. I don't want all that powdered sugar icing on it. I use butter and I put the sugar on top and then bake it. Now, the legend of the beautiful king cake is a religious symbol. The circle represents, and the braiding represents the unity of all religions and faiths to come together as one. Now I'm going to add a little bit of butter to make sure that the sugar will stick. And you want to do it as gentle as you can, because you do not want to deflate what has rose so far. Okay, and let me get me another paper towel. The sugar colors also have significance. Yes, they are the traditional colors of Mardi Gras. We're going to start out with purple, which represents justice. And you're just going to sprinkle it on to your king cake. And you want to do the colors in a band. We're going to band all the way around. And you want your king cake to be colorful. Next is green, which represents faith. And part of the legend is that the three colors also represent the three wise men. Now, that I cannot verify. I don't know. Next band will be gold, which, well, can't do that band unless I get some butter on here. You want to wipe your fingers so that you don't get a whole lot of sugar stuck on your fingers. And you want to do a good band of the gold. And we're going to start again with the purple. And my theory is that there's already so much sugar involved in the king cake, you don't need all that icing. You really don't. To me, it takes away from the flavor of the king cake. Alright, I'm going to continue to work around what you strive for. Excuse me. What you want to strive for is to get equal amounts of the bands of sugar around. And that way you have equal unity, equal justice, equal faith, equal power for the whole year. And I'll bring you back as soon as I get done. Alright, I was blessed to get all three equally. Look how beautiful that is. Purple for your justice, green for your faith, gold for your power, and unity all together. Now, I'm going to go put this inside in a 350-degree oven, and I'm going to let it bake between 25 and 30 minutes. Watch. Once it starts getting a golden brown on the edge and around, it is time to pull your king cake out. Don't let your king cake burn. You done went to too much effort to make this beautiful symbolic piece of bread to celebrate Mardi Gras. So, let's go get her in the oven, and I will bring you back when she's done baking. See you after a while. Alright everyone, she is out of the oven. She is cooked beautifully. You want it to be slightly golden brown. You want to let it cool down for a while. Let's see, what color do I want? I think I'm going to go for purple. Now watch me end up with the bean and I have to cook the next one. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, flaky. Deliciousness. Oh my gracious. Now I need a big old mug of Cafe du Monde coffee. Simple, easy, anyone can make their own king cake. And it's party time, everyone. Les boutons roulés. Let the good times roll and make your own king cake and enjoy it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I'll answer them as soon as I can. I hope this has encouraged you to make your own king cake. I prefer the old traditional way without all that. You've got enough sugar on it. You don't need the powdered sugar frosting. It just makes it way too sweet. Simple, easy, and oh yeah, homemade, baby. I look forward to seeing y'all in my next video. Hope this encourages you to make your own and make it from scratch. Everyone, take care, and you have a blessed night and a blessed day, because I'm fixing to enjoy the rest of my king cake slice. Everyone, may you each be blessed. See you soon.